everybody, and welcome to another educational and exciting episode of My Beat Goes On. As always, my name is Chris, and today we are talking about the benefits of quitting smoking and why you should have quit yesterday. A lot of people know smoking's bad, you know you need to quit, but there's also a lot of people that think that, you're only in your 20s or 30s, you got some more time before you have to worry about health problems. But do you really know how long it takes for the effects of smoking to actually wear off your body and your body to become back to the normal state that a non-smoker would be in? Today we're going to discuss some of that, and hopefully it'll help you realize that you need to quit smoking sooner than later. First, we have some immediate benefits, and the obvious one is saving money. Yes, cigarettes are expensive. They've definitely gotten more expensive over the years. And right now, the average price of a cigarette pack is over $5.50 a pack, with the highest price in New York bringing in upwards of $13 a pack or more. And if you want to save a few bucks and buy it by the carton, you can buy it at the discount price of about $120. This kind of adds up after a while if you do the math. If you were just to smoke a half a pack a day, which isn't very much for a lot of smokers, and that was at $5.50, which is on the low end of the prices, you're going to save yourself about $1,000 a year, and a full pack a day smoker is going to save themselves $2,000 a year. And I know that there's a lot of things that you could do with that, especially now being around Christmas time. I mean, that's pretty much everybody's Christmas presents if you were to put that away and save it. Or if you wanted, you could go on a nice vacation. A lot better than smoking and sinking your money into something that really in the long run doesn't do anything for you but hurt you. Another immediate benefit is obviously you're going to smell better. And as you can see, there's no reason that there ever has been, and there never will be, a perfume, cologne, candle, or anything else cigarette scented to enhance the smell of your body or your house. Why is that? Because it's really not a pleasant odor, especially to non-smokers. Now we have some long-term benefits, and a lot of people don't know all of these. You might know some of them, but the time frame is actually a lot longer than many people would think. We start at 1 hour after quitting and you had your last cigarette. Your heartbeat returns to normal and your blood pressure starts to come back down to the normal level. Which, if you think about it, somebody who smokes probably smokes about every hour. So their heart rate and their blood pressure is going up and down, up and down. And you can imagine over the time, over years of smoking, how much that wreaks havoc on your cardiovascular system. So if anything, that's immediately right there is a good benefit why to stop smoking now. At about 12 hours after your last cigarette, the carbon monoxide levels are back to normal, which will help increase the amount of oxygen your blood can carry. And the reason this happens is because carbon monoxide actually sticks to the oxygen carrying sites on the red blood cells better than oxygen does. So when you smoke, it takes up that space that your oxygen can use. So after 12 hours, your blood's able to actually carry the amount of oxygen that it's supposed to, which obviously is going to help you. After a day of not smoking, your risk of heart attack from smoking-induced high blood pressure begins to drop. So it only takes 1 day to reduce your risk of a heart attack from stopping smoking, which is really a big deal. And also, at 1 day, your physical activity and your exercise will start to become more easier, especially since now your blood can carry the amount of oxygen that it needs to the cells. After 2 days of not smoking, the damaged nerve ends responsible for smell begin to heal. So now you're going to start noticing that things smell and probably taste better, especially since we use our sense of smell for taste on a lot of things. You're going to notice these improved senses, which, for people like me that like to eat, there's nothing wrong with food tasting better than it already does. After day 3, this is about the rough time for everybody. This is when your nicotine levels are depleted. You're going to have withdrawals begin or peak depending on how much you have smoked in the past. And these symptoms are going to include moodiness and irritability, which the best way to combat that is to keep yourself busy with a hobby. Probably stay away from people that annoy you. Maybe time it so that on day 3 you're not at work, so you don't have to worry about doing something that you might regret, saying something you might regret. You're going to get some headaches probably. You can combat this with some medication, some time in a dark room with your eyes closed. This will help you out. And you're going to have cravings, which by day 3 you need to resist those, because you're hitting the peak, you're hitting the hump. You're going to get over it. It's just going to take time, and it will get better. Even though it doesn't feel like it, it's going to get better. After you get that hump and that milestone out of the way, at 1 to 3 months, this is when your lungs begin to heal and lung function starts to improve. So as you can see, it's not really too long for that to start happening, but it's also not as quick as you might think. You should have less coughing, less shortness of breath. You're going to have your endurance increase, and cardiovascular activities are going to become easier, and your circulation is also going to continue to improve. So 1 to 3 months is when we really start to see the benefits, picking up for you. And I think once you hit this time, when you see these benefits, you're probably not going to want to go back to smoking, because you're going to feel a lot better. At about the 9-month mark, your lungs have now significantly healed, which that's a good thing. You obviously want that. The cilia, which are hair-like structures in your lungs, they help push out mucus, bacteria, disease, any funk that you breathe in, dust, debris, all that. They have recovered, and now they can start doing their job. So as I said, it pushes out the mucus, which also traps all the gunk that you breathe in. And at this time, you should start seeing less respiratory infections, which for people that have smoking for a long time, they know these can get you down and out for, days. They're not fun, and they come by pretty easily. So you need to thank your cilia. Say, thank you for coming back and working for me, getting all this junk out of my lungs. Now I feel better. And at this point, if you go back to smoking, I don't know why you would do that. But hopefully at this point, you're going to feel so much better that cigarettes, you're going to not even know why you did it. At your 1-year anniversary, you have an amazing benefit that finally hit, and that's the risk of coronary artery disease is now cut in half. This risk is obviously going to continue to drop. And most importantly, at the 1 year, you need to celebrate, because this is a huge milestone. This is the no turning back. You better not turn back, or I'm going to fuss at you. 1 year anniversary of making your life and your health better. So go out, celebrate, buy yourself a dinner with that saved money, take a trip, do whatever you want. Just make sure you celebrate yourself and your success. At 5 years, this is when smoking, well, not when smoking, but at 5 years, it's when your risk of heart attack and stroke start to decrease due to the narrowing of the artery and the veins. Because smoking, it'll narrow your artery and veins. So now after 5 years, which is a long time it seems like, your veins and arteries will begin to widen again. This lowers your risk of heart attack, stroke, developing blood clots, and these risks will continue to drop. So it's not like this happens after 6 months. This takes you all the way up to now 5 years. So if you were to quit now, it wouldn't be until the year 2024, at the time of this recording, when your veins and arteries would actually start to open back up again. That's a long time. And we're about a quarter of the way through this timeline. So think about that. Especially people that are younger, you don't need to wait. You need to stop now. Now we go to 10 years, and your risk of developing and dying from lung cancer is now cut in half compared to if you did not quit smoking. So it takes a full 10 years just for your lung cancer chances to cut in half. It's not like this happens in the 6 months, 1 year. We're talking 10 years. And if you think about it, that's 2029. That's a long time from now. I'm not even thinking near that. Also, your chances of developing mouth, throat, and or pancreatic cancer have dropped substantially. So as you can see, this timeline, it takes a while. So if you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s, you don't have more time to wait. You need to stop now. At 15 years, you have now reduced your risk of developing coronary artery disease of that of a non-smoker. So it takes you 15 years to completely have your risk of coronary artery disease drop to that of somebody who never smoked. So that means if you're 30 years old, it's 45 is the age at when this will happen. I know I stress it too much, but you cannot wait to quit smoking. It's very important, according to this timeline, that you need to stop. And at this time, at 15 years, you've also reduced your chances of pancreatic cancer to the same as someone who never smoked. And if you guys don't know anything about pancreatic cancer, look it up, because it's probably one of the worst diseases or the worst cancers you can have, just because it's so hard to treat and it's so hard to detect until it's too late, that you do not want to have any extra risk at getting this cancer if you don't need to. Now at 20 years, you have finally made it. You've now essentially have the same risks for all non-smokers as if you never smoked. Everything is essentially canceled out, obviously minus any damage that may have happened. Any scar tissue, stuff like that won't be erased. But anything that hasn't happened to you yet, at 20 years, you're essentially the same health and the same risk factor as somebody who never smoked. So at this point, definitely take yourself on a trip, because you should be in good health. Your risks are completely gone compared to a smoker. Go out there and enjoy life. And for those of you who are younger people, you realize that, 20 years from now, that's a long time. You cannot wait until you're like 60 years old to quit smoking. And if you are 60, quit smoking, because obviously all these benefits, they start immediately. And the lifespan of people is really long now. So quit now, obviously. Good thing to do, But the thing we want to know is how to quit, because it's not always as easy as just putting down cigarettes and never touching them again. If you go to the drugstores, you'll find nicotine patches and nicotine lozenges, which those are good. They have instructions on them of how much to take and how to wean yourself. You can do cold turkey, which most people cannot do. I would say that's probably the last thing to try. But some people do have the willpower to do that, and if you do, more power to you. I'd suggest doing it. Another one is vaping, which I'm not a big fan of, just because it's still inhaling more stuff into your lungs. And it's one of those that people don't necessarily wean themselves off of. They just kind of substitute smoking for that and think it's a safer option, which it could be. I haven't really researched it a whole lot. But you're still putting the nicotine in your body. You're still putting, whatever makes those things smell good. You're still putting that in your lungs. And another thing you can do is also just find solutions to satisfy your oral fixations, like some gum, maybe some healthy snacking, like carrot sticks, celery sticks, stuff like that. But remember, whenever you're doing this quitting smoking using nicotine products, they need to be temporary, and you need to wean yourself down as recommended by the product or by your physician's recommendations. These aren't long-term solutions to a different approach to smoking. They're supposed to, and they're designed to get you off of nicotine so that you're not dependent on it anymore. So make sure you follow the recommendations for weaning. And if you can't, or if you try to wean, it's too tough, go back up and come back down again a little bit later, or kind of find a middle ground in there. Don't go back to smoking. These things, they're better alternatives to smoking. They're still not great for your health, but they're better than smoking. So if you need to be on them a little bit longer to wean yourself off, I don't see the problem with there. But then again, always ask your doctor. Just, get the game plan from them, and they'll help you out as well. Some resources. There are a million resources. If you just Google resources for quitting smoking, just put that exact phrase in Google, you're going to find more options than you knew even existed. There's also a phone number for support for quitting. They give you a free quit coach, a free quit plan, free educational material, and referrals to local resources. So if you don't mind getting on the phone and actually talking to somebody, these are the numbers you can use. The first one's for English-speaking people. The second one's for Spanish. So if you don't mind, some people feel a little weird talking to somebody, but, this is for your health. They're not going to judge you. They don't know who you are. So I would recommend just calling that, especially just to get the local resources. And then lastly, we have some questions to ask your doctor. The first one you can ask is, what resources do you have for quitting smoking? Which you might want some educational material, something online, and maybe like a support group. So you can ask them if there's any local support groups. You can look for local counselors, ask them if there are any. They can help you with quitting smoking. Because sometimes going and talking to somebody in person and being held accountable will help other people or help yourself. Some people don't want to let down other people. And especially if you're paying for a counselor, then, that's probably going to motivate you more just to stop smoking. You can ask them what products they've seen help other people the most. If they've had other smokers that have quit smoking, they've probably told them how they did it. So they might know the best way to do it, so it never hurts to ask what they think is the best. There is that one drug, Chantix, which I know is supposed to be good for smoking, but I've also, if you've seen the commercials or read anything about it, it does increase suicide risk. So that one, I think, kind of take it with a grain of salt. You might need it, it might work for you, but I think, personally, I would probably hold off on that just because, anything that increases your risk of suicide, to me, is pretty scary because suicide's permanent. There's no coming back from it, obviously, so I would probably look for other resources and use that probably as a last resort. And then ask them what a reasonable goal for weaning yourself off cigarettes would be. Some people might just want to smoke cigarettes, but then cut back on them. So, ask them if you're at a pack a day or 20 cigarettes a day, at week 1, should I cut down to 19, then 18, or should I go by 2s, or should I go by 3s? And asking them, just what they think the reasonable goal is. All right, that's the end of this presentation and episode we have today. If you like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. This will let you know every time we post a new video. If you do like it and you think that other people will benefit from this, hit that like button. The like button, it's not for my ego. Honestly, it doesn't bother me if people hit it or not. I just wanted people to watch this and get the information. But YouTube loves the like button. It causes the videos with more likes to be seen first by people searching for the same topics. So if you think this is going to help other people, hit that like button. This will be one of those little selfless acts that you can do to help other people find this information and hopefully help them make better health decisions. Also, make sure you leave a comment if you have any questions about the material, or if you want to leave a comment on future topics, leave them down below. That'll help me when I'm planning for next episodes. I can see what people want to hear instead of what I think people want to hear, because I don't always know what's on everybody's mind or what the hot topic is that time. So do that for me. And until next time, keep on smiling and take care.